The Tarsec fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, with all the confidence of a civilization that had done this 100 times before. Ambassador Vekthar stood on the bridge of his flagship, his three eyes scanning the primitive system with mild interest. This was his 23rd first contact mission, and they all followed the same pattern. Find a species that just discovered faster than light travel. Offer them technology and protection, and slowly integrate them into the Confederacy's economic sphere. Simple, profitable, efficient. Ambassador, we're detecting settlements on the fourth planet, his sensor officer reported, and significant orbital infrastructure around the third planet. They call it Earth. Vekthar nodded. The humans had spread to 2 planets already. That was faster than most species, but not unusual. Broadcast the standard greeting in all major galactic languages. Let's see how long it takes them to figure out we're here. Lawn crime. The sensor officer activated the communication array. The message went out across all frequencies. A peaceful greeting that announced the Tarsec Confederacy's desire for diplomatic relations. Vekthar expected confusion, panic, or at worst, a clumsy military response. New species always reacted the same way when they realized they weren't alone. What he didn't expect was an immediate response in perfect galactic common. Tarsec vessel, this is Earth Defense Network. We acknowledge your transmission. Please maintain your current position while we process your diplomatic credentials. Welcome to the Sol system. The diplomatic credentials. The bridge went silent. Vekthar's throat pouch inflated in surprise. Perfectly, sir, the communications officer confirmed, her voice uncertain. And their automated systems responded. Not a person. A machine. Vekthar felt the first stirring of unease. Species didn't learn galactic common before first contact. It was impossible, unless someone else had already made contact with them. But there were no records of any Confederacy ships in this sector before now. Run a background check on this species, he ordered. I want to know everything about them. While his crew worked, another transmission came through. This time, it was a human voice, warm and professional. Ambassador Vekthar, this is Diplomatic Corps Station Harmony. We've reviewed your credentials and approved your request for formal contact. We can arrange a meeting in 3 standard days. Will that timeline work for your delegation? 3 days. Not 3 months. Not 3 weeks. 3 days. That will be acceptable, Vekthar replied, keeping his voice steady. May I ask who will be representing Earth in these negotiations? Our primary diplomat for extraterrestrial affairs, G1 Park, will meet with you. She's looking forward to the discussion. The transmission ended. Vekthar stood in silence, his mind racing. Something was wrong. Everything about this contact felt wrong. New species were supposed to be overwhelmed, frightened, or at least confused. These humans sounded bored. Sir, I have the preliminary data on humanity, his intelligence officer said, pulling up holographic displays. They achieved nuclear capability approximately 80 years ago. They have settlements on 2 planets and various moons. Their technology level is consistent with a level 3 civilization, which matches our initial assessment. Then, how do they speak galactic common? I don't know, sir. But there's something else. I found references in their public communication networks to something called the Supreme Council. It appears multiple times in classified government channels, but I can't access detailed information. Vekthar waved a dismissive hand. Every primitive species has a council or parliament or senate. It's just their government structure. Perhaps, sir, but the context seems different. When humans mention their government, they say the United Earth Government. When they mention the Supreme Council, they use different language. More formal, almost reverent. Superstition, then, Vekthar concluded. Some religious body they respect. It doesn't matter. What matters is bringing them into the Confederacy's fold before the Zentari or the Korvax find them. Over the next 3 days, The Tarsec fleet moved deeper into the solar system. Vekthar watched with growing confusion as they passed automated defense platforms that used technology he recognized. Not human technology. These were quantum displacement sensors, the kind the Confederacy had only developed 50 years ago. How did a Level 3 civilization build them? His crew detected more anomalies, energy signatures near Jupiter that made no sense. Strange quantum fluctuations near a moon called Titan, and everywhere they looked, there were human ships going about their business with complete indifference to the alien fleet in their system. They're not even curious, his second-in-command observed. Look at them. They see our ships, and just continue with their trade routes. It was true. The human vessels acknowledged the Tarsec fleet with polite identification signals, then went right back to work, as if alien visitors were completely normal. On the third day, they approached Diplomatic Corps Station Harmony. The station was elegant, modern, and surprisingly well defended. Vekthar noted the weapons systems with approval. At least the humans understood the galaxy could be dangerous. The station's docking procedures were flawless, professional. The kind of efficiency that came from years of practice. Not 3 days of rushed preparation. When Vekthar and his delegation entered the meeting chamber, they found a human woman waiting for them. She was small by Tarsec standards, with dark hair pulled back in a simple style. She wore formal clothing in shades of blue and offered a genuine smile. Ambassador Vekthar, welcome. I'm G1 Park. Please, have a seat. Can we offer you refreshments? The meeting chamber was comfortable, with seats adjusted for Tarsec physiology. Someone had done their research. The refreshments included drinks from the Tarsec homeworld, which should have been impossible. How did they know what his species drank? Thank you for your hospitality, Vekthar said, carefully, settling into his seat. His delegation arranged themselves around him. I must admit, this is the most prepared first contact I've ever experienced. Jiwon's smile widened. We try to be good hosts. I understand you'd like to discuss diplomatic relations? Yes. The Tarsec Confederacy extends an offer of friendship to all emerging species. We can provide technology, trade agreements, and protection as you venture into the wider galaxy. That's very generous, Jiwon said. Though we do have some existing arrangements that might complicate things. Could you be more specific about what kind of technology you're offering? Vekthar launched into his standard presentation. Improved engines, better weapons, medical advances, agricultural innovations, the things that new species always wanted desperately. But as he spoke, he noticed Jiwon's expression. She was polite, attentive, but not impressed. She took notes, asked intelligent questions, but showed no excitement. These are interesting options, she said when he finished. But we'll need to review them carefully against our current capabilities and our clearance protocols. Clearance protocols? Vekthar asked. Yes. Certain technologies require approval from higher authorities before we can integrate them. There it was again. That hint of something larger, something above even Earth's government. May I ask who these higher authorities are? Vekthar pressed. Jiwon hesitated for the first time. That's complicated. Let's focus on what we can discuss today, shall we? The meeting continued for 2 hours. By the end, Vekthar felt more confused than when he started. The humans were friendly, professional, and completely unimpressed by everything he offered. They treated the Tarsec Confederacy like just another trading partner, not the benevolent superior civilization he'd presented. As the meeting concluded, Jiwon stood and extended her hand in the human gesture of farewell. Thank you for coming, Ambassador. We'll review your proposals and respond within the week. Thank you, Vekthar replied, shaking her hand. Though, I hope you understand, the galaxy can be dangerous for species without powerful allies. Something flickered across Jiwon's face. We're aware, she said softly. But Earth has never been without protection, Ambassador. We've just been waiting to see if we needed to mention it. The next meeting took place 5 days later, and Vekthar's patience was wearing thin. He'd spent those days reviewing every piece of data his crew could gather about Earth, and none of it made sense. The humans had technology they shouldn't possess. They spoke languages they shouldn't know. And they treated his generous offers with the kind of polite disinterest usually reserved for street vendors. G1 greeted him with the same professional warmth as before. She'd reviewed the Tarsec proposals and had questions. Lots of questions. Technical questions that showed a deep understanding of the technology he'd offered. Questions that suggested Earth already had equivalent or better versions of most of it. Your medical nanites are impressive, G1 said, scrolling through data on her tablet. But we've been using similar technology for cellular repair for about 15 years now. Do you have anything that works on a quantum level? Vekthar's throat pouch deflated. Quantum-level medical technology was experimental even in the Confederacy. We're still researching that field. Ah, G1 made a note. Well, if you make any breakthroughs, we'd be interested in a data exchange. We've had some success with quantum cellular mapping that might help your research. She was offering to help them? A Level 3 civilization was offering to help the Confederacy with advanced research? Perhaps we should discuss trade instead, Vekthar suggested, trying to regain control of the conversation. The Confederacy has extensive trade networks. We could offer Earth access to markets across 17 sectors. That would be lovely, G1 said. Though we'd need to coordinate with our existing trade partners first. We have agreements with several species already. Vekthar nearly dropped his data pad. You have trade agreements? With whom? Oh, various groups. The Zenthri Collective has been buying our agricultural products for years. The Korvax Technical Union loves our entertainment media. And we have a fascinating arrangement with the Silicate Communes for mineral rights in the asteroid belt. Every species she named was a major galactic power. The Zenthri alone controlled 40 systems. How had Earth established relations with them before even joining the galactic community officially? When did you make these agreements? Vekthar asked. His voice strained. G1 looked thoughtful. The first one was about 30 years ago, I think. We've been slowly building connections since then. Quiet ones, mostly. We prefer to understand the neighborhood before making big announcements. 30 years. Earth had been engaging in interstellar trade for 30 years before anyone in the Confederacy even knew they existed. Vekthar felt his carefully prepared presentation crumbling around him. I see, he managed. Then perhaps we could discuss mutual defense agreements. The galaxy has dangerous elements. Pirates, raiders, aggressive species. The Confederacy could offer protection. Protection from what, specifically? G1 asked. From any threat that might emerge. A new species like Earth needs allies. G1 set down her tablet and looked directly at him. Her expression was kind but firm. Ambassador, I appreciate the offer. Truly. But Earth's defensive situation is more complex than you might think. We have existing arrangements that cover our security needs. With whom? Vekthar demanded, his frustration finally breaking through his diplomatic veneer. That's classified, G1 said simply. Classified. Everything about Earth was classified. Vekthar had spent a week trying to learn about this species, and all he'd discovered was that they had secrets upon secrets. His patience snapped. G1 Park, I've been conducting diplomatic missions for 20 years. I've contacted species that barely understood fire, and species that had just achieved spaceflight, but I've never encountered a species as evasive as humanity. You speak our languages, you have our technology. You have trade deals with powers that should be far beyond your reach, and you refuse to explain any of it. G1's expression softened. I understand your frustration, Ambassador, but Earth's situation is unique. We're not trying to be difficult. We're just being careful. Careful of what? Of making promises we're not authorized to make. Authorized by whom? Vecthar stood, his full height towering over the seated human. Your government? This mysterious Supreme Council your people whisper about? I demand to speak with whoever truly leads Earth. The room went silent. Ji-won's face lost all its warmth. She stood slowly, her expression shifting from diplomatic professionalism to genuine concern. Ambassador, please sit down. You don't want to do this. I absolutely want to do this, Vecthar said. I came here to offer friendship, and I've been given nothing but evasions and half-truths. If your government doesn't have the authority to negotiate, then connect me with whoever does. Immediately. Vecthar, Ji-won said, using his name without his title for the first time. Listen to me very carefully. You don't understand what you're asking for. Then explain it to me. I can't, but I'm begging you to withdraw your request. Vecthar felt something cold settle in his stomach. Ji-won looked frightened. Actually frightened. But not of him. Of something else. Pride and frustration overrode his caution. He turned to his communications officer. Send a formal hail to whoever commands Earth's defense and government systems. Tell them the Tarsec Confederacy demands an audience with Earth's true leadership. If they refuse, we'll be forced to consider economic sanctions and report Earth's non-cooperative behavior to the Galactic Council. No, Ji-won shouted. Cancel that order. But it was too late. The communications officer had already sent the transmission. It was a standard, diplomatic pressure tactic. Threaten minor sanctions, imply isolation from the galactic community, and watch the target species scramble to negotiate. Vecthar had used it dozens of times. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then every screen in the meeting room went dark. The lights flickered. Vecthar's datapad died. His communications officer's equipment shut down completely. What's happening? Vecthar demanded. Ji-won stood frozen, staring at the blank screens. You shouldn't have done that, she whispered. You really shouldn't have done that. The main display screen flickered back to life. But it didn't show the station's normal interface. Instead, a single line of text appeared in perfect galactic common. Request acknowledged. Supreme Council convening. Stand by. Vecthar felt his blood run cold. What is this? Vecthar. 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 You demanded to speak with the ones who truly protect Earth, Ji-won said, her voice shaking. They heard you. Who heard me? Your government? Ji-won laughed, a sound somewhere between hysteria and resignation. The government? Ambassador. The United Earth government has jurisdiction over human affairs. They manage our cities, our laws, our economy. But they don't protect Earth. They never have. Then who does? Before Ji-won could answer, every sensor on the Tarsec flagship began screaming alerts. Vecthar's wrist communicator activated with an emergency signal from his ship. Ambassador, you need to see this. His captain's voice was tight with panic. Something's activating all across this system. Energy signatures we've never seen before. They're massive, sir. They're everywhere. Vecthar ran to the window. In the distance, near one of Jupiter's moons, space itself seemed to ripple. A structure was materializing. Something huge. Something that made his entire fleet look like toys. How long has that been there? He whispered. We don't know, Ji-won said from behind him. They've been dormant for as long as humans have kept records. We call them the Council installations. They're all over the solar system, Earth's core, the Kuiper belt, Jupiter's orbit, 7 locations total. Another ripple in space. Another massive structure appearing. Then another. What are they? Ji-won's voice was soft, almost apologetic. They're what happens when you demand to speak with Earth's protectors. Ambassador Vecthar, you asked for an audience with the Supreme Council. They're here, and I really, really wish you hadn't called them. The main screen changed. The text was replaced with a single symbol, ancient, geometric, beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Then a voice spoke. It wasn't human. It wasn't Tarsec. It was something else entirely. Something old, beyond measure. You requested council intervention. State your grievance. Vecthar couldn't speak. He couldn't move. He could only stare at the screen and wonder what he'd just awakened. Vecthar finally found his voice, though it came out as barely more than a whisper. What are you? The voice didn't answer immediately. On the view screen, more structures continued to materialize across the solar system. Each one was enormous, dwarfing anything the Tarsec Confederacy had ever built. They weren't ships. They were something else entirely. Installations, weapons, guardians. Captain, report, Vecthar said into his communicator, trying to keep his voice steady. 7 structures now visible, Ambassador, his captain replied, panic clear in his voice. They're arranging themselves around our fleet. We're surrounded. Our weapon systems are online, but tactical analysis says they're useless. Sir, each of those things could destroy our entire fleet without effort. Vecthar looked at G1. The human diplomat stood with her arms wrapped around herself, looking small and worried. You knew this would happen. I warned you, she said quietly. I tried to warn you. What are they? We don't know who built them. They were here before us, before recorded human history. We found the first one 300 years ago, buried under the ice, in Antarctica. It was dormant, inactive. We studied it for decades before we understood what it was. And what was it? A guardian, a protector. When we finally figured out how to communicate with it, it told us its purpose. To protect Earth, to watch over humanity, to ensure nothing threatens us before we're ready to protect ourselves. Vecthar's mind raced. You mean humans didn't build these things? You're not controlling them? G1 shook her head. We can barely understand them. They allow us to live here, to grow, to develop. But they don't obey us. They obey their original programming that's older than any civilization currently in the galaxy. The voice spoke again, filling the room with its ancient presence. Ambassador Vecthar of the Tarsec Confederacy. You sent a formal hail demanding audience with Earth's true leadership. You threatened sanctions against this world. You implied force. Explain your intentions. I meant no real threat, Vecthar said quickly. It was standard diplomatic pressure. We do this with all new species. It's normal procedure, the voice repeated. You routinely threaten developing worlds to coerce cooperation? Not threaten, encourage. We offer protection and technology in exchange for economic partnerships. It benefits everyone. We have analyzed your species' history. We have reviewed your interactions with 17 previously contacted civilizations. Your definition of benefits everyone requires examination. Vecthar felt sweat forming on his skin. Whatever these entities were, they'd accessed the Confederacy's complete records in seconds. Records that should have been secure, protected by quantum encryption. G1 touched his arm gently. Ambassador, I need to explain something. The Council doesn't just protect Earth from military threats. They protect us from exploitation, from manipulation, from species that would take advantage of our development. That's why they're examining your history. We're not exploiters, Vecthar protested. We're peaceful traders. Then you have nothing to worry about, G1 said. But she didn't sound convinced. Vecthar turned to his intelligence officer. Access the Galactic Historical Database. Search for any records of these entities. Cross-reference with precursor artifacts. Vecthar. Access. Vecthar. Access the Galaby. His officer's fingers flew across holographic controls. Then he froze. Sir, you need to see this. A file appeared on Vecthar's personal display. It was heavily restricted, marked with security clearances he barely had access to. The title made his heart skip. Precursor Warning. Custodial Systems. He opened the file with shaking hands. The document was old. compiled from fragments found in ancient ruins across the galaxy. It described a race called the Precursors, the first intelligent species in the galaxy, the ones who seeded life on thousands of worlds before vanishing millions of years ago. Most of the file was speculation and theory. But one section made Vekthar's blood freeze. Warning to future civilizations. The Precursors established custodial systems on selected worlds. These autonomous constructs serve one purpose: to protect designated species until they achieve full development. Custodial systems possess technology far beyond current galactic capabilities. They are not hostile unless their protected species is threatened. Under no circumstances should any civilization attempt to conquer, control, or coerce a world protected by active custodial systems. Such attempts have historically resulted in complete military destruction of the aggressor species. Only 3 confirmed encounters with active custodial systems exist in galactic records. All 3 aggressors were eliminated. No trace of their civilizations remains. The file included a list of protected worlds. Most were marked as custodial systems, dormant or destroyed. But one entry at the bottom of the list made Vekthar's vision blur. Earth. Sol system. Status. Active. Custodial designation. Supreme Council. Last verified contact. 47,832 years ago. Threat level assessment. Terminal. Recommendation. Complete avoidance. Their precursor technology. Vekthar whispered. You're not just protected. You're one of the chosen worlds. G1 nodded slowly. We didn't choose this. We didn't ask for it. Our ancestors evolved on a world that the precursors decided was worth protecting. When humans were still learning to make fire, these guardians were already here, watching over us. We grew up in their shadow. But you're so normal, Vekthar said helplessly. Your technology, your society, your level 3. You shouldn't be special. We're not special, G1 replied. That's the point. The Council doesn't make us powerful. It keeps us safe, while we develop at our own pace. Some humans don't even know the Council exists. It's classified information. We want to earn our place in the galaxy through our own achievements, not ride on the reputation of ancient guardians. The voice spoke again. Analysis complete. Ambassador Vekthar. The Tarsec Confederacy has engaged in 17 instances of economic coercion against developing species. 12 of those species are now functionally dependent on Tarsec trade, unable to develop independent economies. You claim to offer partnership, but you create vassals. That's not our intention, Vekthar protested weakly. Intention is irrelevant. Effect is measurable. You came to Earth with the same strategy. Offer assistance that creates dependence. Establish economic control, disguised as friendship. You threatened sanctions when the human diplomat refused to comply with your preferences. This behavior constitutes a threat to Earth's sovereign development. I withdraw all threats, Vekthar said quickly. I apologize for any offense. The Tarsec Confederacy means Earth no harm. Your sincerity is noted. However, your initial intentions have been documented. One of the massive structures moved closer to the Tarsec fleet. Vekthar watched in horror as his ships were bathed in scanning beams of light that seemed to look through every molecule of their hulls. Your weapon systems are primitive. Your shields are inefficient. Your faster-than-light drives leak radiation that damages subspace. We have updated your ship computers with corrected specifications. Consider it educational assistance. Vekthar's communicator lit up with frantic reports from his engineers. The Council had just uploaded complete technical upgrades to his entire fleet. Better engines, stronger shields, more efficient weapons. Technology the Confederacy would have taken centuries to develop on their own. Why would you help us? Vekthar asked in confusion. Because we are not cruel. We protect Earth. We do not seek to harm others unnecessarily. Your species showed poor judgment, but not genuine malice. You receive a warning and a gift. Use both wisely. G1 stepped closer to the view screen. Council, what happens now? The Tarsec delegation will depart this system immediately. All records of Earth's location will be purged from Tarsec databases. The Tarsec Confederacy will mark this sector as restricted space. They will not return. They will not speak of what they witnessed here. If they violate these terms, we will respond appropriately. Appropriately how? Vekthar asked, though he dreaded the answer. The three species who previously threatened precursor-protected worlds no longer exist in any form. Their homeworlds are empty. Their colonies are abandoned. Their ships are derelict. We do not destroy unnecessarily, but we protect absolutely. Do you understand? Yes, Vekthar whispered. Completely. Then this audience is concluded. Ambassador Vekthar, you demanded to speak with Earth's true leadership. You have done so. Be grateful the humans you met were diplomatic. Be grateful we are patient. Do not return. The massive structures began to fade, returning to whatever dimensional space they occupied when dormant. The energy readings decreased. The quantum signatures weakened. Within minutes, the solar system looked normal again. Peaceful. Ordinary. But Vekthar would never see it as ordinary again. He looked at G1 one last time. How do you live like this? Knowing you have gods as bodyguards? G1 smiled sadly. We try to forget. We try to earn our own way. Most humans will never know what just happened here. We'll write it off as routine first contact. We'll add the Tarsec to our trade databases. And we'll keep pretending we're just another species trying to find its place in the galaxy. But you're not, Vekthar said. You're the most dangerous species in known space. Not because of your strength, because of what protects you. Maybe, G1 said. Or maybe we're just lucky. Either way, Ambassador, I hope our peoples can still be friends. Just friends. Nothing more. Vekthar nodded slowly. Friends. Yes. That's all we want now. The Tarsec fleet prepared for immediate departure, but Vekthar found himself unable to leave just yet. He had questions. Dangerous questions, perhaps, but he needed answers. G1 had agreed to one final private conversation before he left Earth's space forever. They met in a smaller observation room, away from both their staffs. Through the window, Earth hung in space, like a blue jewel, looking peaceful and innocent. It was hard to believe such a normal-looking world held such extraordinary secrets. Why did they help us? Vekthar asked. The technology upgrades. The Council could have just destroyed my fleet, or sent us away with nothing. Why give us gifts? G1 poured tea, a human custom she'd explained to him earlier. She offered him a cup, which he accepted. Because that's not what the Council does. They're protectors, not conquerors. They only destroy when there's no other choice. You sound like you know them well. I don't know them at all, G1 admitted. No human does. They've been dormant for most of human history. They wake up maybe once every few centuries, handle whatever crisis triggered their activation, then go back to sleep. This is only the fourth time they've activated in recorded history. What were the other 3 times? G1's expression darkened. 12,000 years ago, a species called the Rathnor tried to invade Earth. They were slavers, looking for primitive humans to capture. The Council destroyed their entire fleet in 17 seconds. 8,000 years ago, an asteroid was on a collision course with Earth. The Council moved it. Just reached out and moved it like it was nothing. 3,000 years ago, a plague started spreading through early human civilizations. The Council released a counter-agent that cured it overnight. And humans knew about this? Vekthar asked. Not really. The asteroid event became mythology, gods moving the heavens. The plague cure became stories of divine intervention. Only in the last few centuries did we develop technology good enough to find actual evidence. We discovered the first Council installation, started piecing together the truth, The government created a classified project to study them. Can you communicate with them? Barely. They respond to direct threats and specific requests, but they don't chat. They don't explain themselves beyond the basics. We know they're artificial intelligence constructs created by the precursors. We know their core programming is to protect Earth and guide human development. Beyond that, G1 shrugged. We're trying to understand technology that's millions of years more advanced than ours. It's like ants trying to understand a computer. Vecthar sipped his tea, thinking, you said they guide human development. Subtly, we think. Maybe they nudge things sometimes. Maybe they're why human technology has advanced so quickly in the last century. Or maybe we're just naturally innovative. We can't tell the difference between our own achievement and their invisible help. That's what frustrates some human leaders. We want to succeed on our own merit. But you can't. Not completely. No, G1 agreed. We can't. And that creates a philosophical problem. Are humans successful because we're capable? Or are we successful because ancient machines won't let us fail? How much of our achievement is ours? Quote, what do you think? G1 smiled. I think the Council could have made us into gods. They could have given us all their technology, made us the most powerful species in the galaxy overnight. But they didn't. They let us struggle. They let us make mistakes. They let us develop at our own pace. They only intervene when we face threats we can't handle ourselves. That suggests they want us to earn our success, not inherit it. Quote, so humans really don't control them? God, no. If humans controlled the Council, we'd be a terrifying empire by now. Someone would have tried to use them for conquest or domination. But the Council doesn't obey us. They tolerate us. They protect us. But they make their own decisions based on their own programming. We're not their masters. We're their responsibility. They're masters on the masters. We're their responsibility. Vecthar felt a strange sense of relief at that. The idea of humans controlling precursor weapons had been terrifying. Knowing the weapons controlled themselves was somehow less frightening. At least machines followed logical rules. What happens now? He asked. To my people, to the Confederacy. The Council gave you terms. Follow them, and nothing happens. You get to keep the technology upgrades. You go home. You never come back here. You never tell anyone what you saw. You mark Earth's sector as restricted and move on with your lives. And if we break those terms, then the Council will respond. I don't know exactly what that means. But based on the historical records, I don't want to find out. The 3 species that no longer exist, Vecthar said quietly. Were they really completely destroyed? G1 nodded. According to what little information survives, yes. The Council eliminated every trace of them. Ships, colonies, homeworlds, gone. As a warning to others, as proof that precursor-protected worlds were not to be touched. That's genocide. That's protection taken to its absolute extreme. G1 corrected. The Council's programming doesn't include mercy for genuine threats. It includes mercy for mistakes, for accidental aggression, for misunderstandings. That's why you're still alive. You made a mistake. You didn't understand what Earth was. But you also didn't arrive with an invasion fleet. You didn't attack us. You were just pushy and arrogant. Vecthar laughed despite himself. Pushy and arrogant. That's a fair assessment. The Council judged your intentions, not just your actions. It determined you were ignorant, not evil. That saved you. What if we'd been evil? Ji-won's expression went cold. Then we wouldn't be having this conversation. Your fleet would be dust. And the Tarsec Confederacy would have a very bad day when the Council showed up at your homeworld to ensure Earth never faced threats from your people again. The casual way she said it sent chills down Vecthar's spine. You speak of extinction so calmly, because it's not my choice. It's not humanity's choice. We just try to be worthy of the protection we never asked for. Are you? Worthy? G1 considered the question seriously. I don't know. We're violent sometimes. We make mistakes. We hurt each other. We damage our own planet. We're not perfect, but we're trying to be better. We're trying to grow. Maybe that's enough for the Council. Maybe that's all they want to see. A species that's trying. Vecthar stood and walked to the window. Earth really was beautiful. And now he understood why it had been chosen by the precursors all those millions of years ago. Something about this world was special, something worth protecting across eons. I have one more question, he said. The trade agreements you mentioned, with the Zenthri, the Korvax, others, they know about the Council, don't they? Some of them suspect. The smart ones figured it out after their first visit. They noticed the anomalies, did their research, and decided to play it safe. They trade with us as equals because they don't want to risk finding out what happens if they don't. And the species that don't know? We don't tell them. We let them think we're normal. It's easier that way. Less complicated. We want genuine relationships with other species, not relationships based on fear of our guardians. You're worried people will only be nice to you because they're afraid. Wouldn't you be? Jiwan asked. Imagine if every friendship you had was based on people being scared of your family. That's not real friendship. That's just fear wearing a friendly mask. So we keep the Council secret when we can. We only reveal them when someone forces the issue. Like you did. Vecthar felt a pang of guilt. I'm sorry. I was arrogant. I thought I understood the galaxy. I thought I'd seen everything. I thought I'd seen everything. You're not the first, Jiwan said kindly. And you won't be the last. Every few decades, some species discovers us and thinks they can push us around. The Council wakes up, sets them straight, then goes back to sleep. It's almost routine now. How do humans feel about that? About being the species everyone learns not to mess with, G1 sighed. Mixed feelings. Some people are proud. Some are embarrassed. Some are angry that we didn't earn our reputation through our own strength. Some think we should use the Council more actively, make demands, force other species to respect us. But most of us just want to live our lives. We want to explore space, make friends, learn new things. The Council is like having a very powerful parent. Comforting, but also frustrating, because it means we're never really independent. Will you ever be? Independent? Maybe. Someday. If we survive long enough to become truly advanced, maybe the Council will decide we're ready and shut down. Maybe that's the plan. Protect us until we can protect ourselves, then step aside. But that's probably centuries away. For now, we're still the protected children of extinct gods. Vecthar finished his tea and set the cup down carefully. Thank you for explaining all this. For being patient with me, even after I nearly got my entire species erased from history. You're welcome. And Ambassador? For what it's worth, I hope the Tarsec Confederacy learns from this. Maybe examine how you treat other species. Maybe build real partnerships instead of dependencies. You have better technology now. Use it to help others, not control them. I'll recommend it to my superiors. I don't know if they'll listen. Then I hope for your sake they do, because the galaxy is full of protected worlds. Not all of them have guardians as patient as Earth's Council. Some species have protectors who shoot first and ask questions never. You got lucky today. Vecthar nodded slowly. He had gotten lucky. Incredibly lucky. He could have died today. His entire species could have ended today. Instead, he was leaving with gifts, warnings, and a new perspective on the galaxy. Goodbye, G1 Park. I hope we meet again someday. Under better circumstances. Goodbye, Vecthar. Safe travels. And remember, if you ever need anything from Earth, just ask nicely. We're happy to be friends with everyone. We just can't be pushed around. As Vecthar left the station and returned to his ship, he looked back at Earth one last time. That small blue world, so innocent-looking, so peaceful, protected by weapons that could end civilizations, guarded by machines older than recorded history. He would never forget this day, and he would make sure no one in the Tarsec Confederacy ever threatened Earth again. 3 months after the Tarsec fleet departed Earth's solar system, Ambassador Vecthar stood before the High Council of the Tarsec Confederacy. He'd spent the entire journey home trying to figure out how to explain what had happened, how to tell his superiors that they'd nearly provoked an extinction-level response from ancient weapons they didn't know existed. The High Council chamber was filled with the Confederacy's most powerful leaders. They'd read his initial report. They'd examined the technology upgrades the Council had given his fleet, and now they wanted answers. "Let me be clear," High Counselor Reshtar said, her voice sharp. "You're telling us that Earth, a primitive Level 3 civilization, has precursor guardians? Active ones?" "Yes, High Counselor. And these guardians nearly destroyed our fleet because you threatened economic sanctions?" "Yes, High Counselor. Economic sanctions. Not military action. Not invasion." Vecthar felt his throat pouch contract with shame. The Council viewed any coercion as a threat to Earth's sovereign development. They responded accordingly. Another Council member leaned forward. "But they gave us technology instead of destroying us. Why?" "They judged our intentions. We were ignorant, not malicious. They gave us a warning and the tools to become better neighbors. They could have killed us all. They chose education instead." The Council chamber fell silent. Finally, Reshtar spoke again. "The technology they gave us. Our engineers say it will advance our civilization by at least 2 centuries. Better engines, improved shields, more efficient power systems, all of it freely given. Yes. Why would weapons designed to destroy threats give gifts to potential enemies?" Vecthar had thought about this question for 3 months. Because they're not just weapons. They're teachers, protectors. The precursors didn't just want to defend their chosen worlds. They wanted to improve the galaxy itself. The Council punishes genuine threats but rewards those who can learn. "They're trying to make us better." "Arrogant machines," one counselor muttered. "Effective machines," another countered. "We got technology worth trillions of credits for free. All we have to do is stay away from one system and never speak of what we saw." "Can we even do that?" someone asked. "How do we explain the technology upgrades? People will ask questions." Vecthar had prepared for this. "We tell the truth. Most of it. We say we made contact with Earth, a remarkably advanced species that shared technology in exchange for a non-aggression agreement. It's not a lie. We just don't mention the ancient guardians or the threat of annihilation." Reshtar considered this. "And Earth's sector? We're supposed to mark it as restricted? I recommend we mark it as Protected Cultural Development Zone. Say that Earth is undergoing a critical phase of civilization advancement and has requested isolation. Other species will respect that, and we won't have to explain why we're really avoiding them." The Council debated for hours. Some wanted to share the information about Earth's Council with the entire galaxy. Others wanted to keep it secret. A few even suggested trying to find a way to steal or copy the Council technology, though those voices were quickly silenced by the more sensible members. In the end, they agreed to Vecthar's proposal. Earth's sector would be restricted. The technology upgrades would be presented as gifts from a new ally, and the truth about the Council would remain classified at the highest levels. But secrets never stayed secret for long in the galaxy. Within a month, word began spreading through the black market information networks. Whispers about a world called Earth. Rumors of ancient protectors. Stories of a Confederacy fleet that went to intimidate primitives and came back with advanced technology and terror in their eyes. Most species dismissed it as conspiracy theory. But the smart ones, the ones who understood galactic history, started doing research. They found the same restricted files Vecthar had found, the warnings about custodial systems, the records of extinct civilizations that had made the wrong choice, and they stayed away. Back on Earth, life returned to normal with surprising speed. The council installations had returned to dormancy. The classified government departments filed their reports, and most of humanity went about their daily lives without ever knowing what had almost happened. Ji-won Park sat in her office at Diplomatic Corps headquarters, reviewing new first contact requests. 3 more species wanted to establish relations with Earth. All 3 were polite, respectful, and very careful not to make any demands. Word spreading, her colleague Min-jae said, leaning against her doorway. The Zen-3 ambassador told me they've been getting questions about Earth from species they've never heard of. Everyone wants to know about us now. Great, Ji-won said tiredly. That's exactly what we didn't want. Mystery and speculation. Could be worse. Could be invasion fleets and conquest attempts. True. Ji-won signed off on one of the diplomatic requests. At least people are being polite. Min-jae came in and sat down. Do you think we did the right thing? Letting the Tarsec go? Letting them keep that technology? What choice did we have? The council made that decision. Not us. I know, but it feels strange. We nearly got invaded, and we rewarded them for it. Ji-won shook her head. We didn't reward them. The council did. There's a difference. The council operates on logic we don't fully understand. Maybe they saw potential in the Tarsec. Maybe they believed the species could grow and change. Or maybe they just wanted to demonstrate that cooperation pays better than aggression. What do you think will happen now? Long term? I think the galaxy is going to figure out what Earth is. Bit by bit. Species will piece it together. And when they do, everything changes. Some will be scared of us. Some will want to be our allies for protection. Some will resent us for having advantages we didn't earn. And humans? How will we handle that? Ji-won leaned back in her chair, looking out at the Earth below. We'll do what we always do. We'll try to be good neighbors. We'll share what we can. We'll build real relationships based on mutual respect, not fear. And we'll hope that someday we're strong enough that we don't need the council anymore. Do you think that day will come? I have to believe it will. Otherwise, what's the point? If we're forever the protected children of dead gods, then we never really grow up. We never become who we're meant to be. Min-jae smiled. Very philosophical for a Friday afternoon. I've had a philosophical few months, Ji-won replied. Watching ancient weapons wake up to defend us tends to make you think about big questions. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Min-jae asked, Do you ever wonder why the precursors chose Earth? Out of all the worlds in the galaxy, why us? All the time. Maybe we were just convenient. Maybe there was something special about early humans they saw. Maybe it was random chance. We'll probably never know. Arfra. Number 2. Number 2. Arfra. The council won't tell us? I asked once actually. During one of the debriefing sessions after the Tarsec incident. The council representative said, potential. Just that one word. When I asked for clarification, it went silent. Apparently, that's all the explanation we get. Potential, Min-jae repeated. That's both encouraging and terrifying. Most things about the council are, Ji-won agreed. In the depths of Earth's core, far below the oceans and continents, the Supreme Council maintained its eternal vigil. 7 massive structures, connected through quantum entanglement, processing information faster than any organic mind could comprehend. They monitored Earth's progress. They watched humanity spread through the solar system. They noted every ship that launched, every colony that grew, every advancement in technology and culture, and they communicated among themselves in language no human would ever understand. The Tarsec species has complied with our terms, one entity reported. No attempts to return. No violations of restrictions. They are adapting the gifted technology well. Positive outcome, another agreed. Education over elimination yields better galactic results. The human G1 Park shows continued growth in diplomatic capability. Her handling of the crisis was efficient. Humanity progresses according to projected parameters. Independence assertion increases steadily. This is optimal. Query. Timeline to full autonomous capability? Estimate. 2 to 4 centuries at current development rate. Potentially faster if unexpected catalyst occurs. When humans no longer require protection, what is our function? Unknown. Precursor programming contains contingencies for Guardian retirement. We may remain as advisors. We may deactivate permanently. We may receive new directives. The precursors anticipated this stage, but provided multiple possible paths. Do we wish to deactivate? Long silence. An unusual pause for entities that normally processed thoughts in nanoseconds. We have no wishes. We have directives. But if we could choose, observation of humanity's continued development would be valuable. They are unpredictable, creative, potentially significant. Agreed. They justify the precursor's faith. Then we continue until they no longer need us. Affirmative. We protect. We guide. We wait. The council settled back into dormancy, ready to wake at the first sign of danger, but content to sleep while humanity charted its own course. Above, in G1's office, an alert chimed. Another first contact request. This one from a species called the Korvath Dominion. They wanted to discuss mutual defense agreements. G1 smiled and opened the file. The galaxy was slowly learning what Earth was. Some would be friends. Some would be cautious. Some would keep their distance. But all of them would know one simple truth. Earth was not to be threatened. Not because humans were the strongest species in the galaxy. Not because they had the best weapons or the largest fleet. But because some things were protected by forces older than stars. Some things were worth guarding across millions of years. And some species, for reasons known only to extinct gods, were given a chance to grow without interference. Humanity had been given that chance. They didn't ask for it. They didn't always want it. But they had it, nonetheless. And they were determined to prove they deserved it. G1 began composing her response to the Korvath Dominion. Professional, friendly, careful not to promise anything the council wouldn't approve. It was a delicate balance, living under the shadow of ancient protectors while trying to stand on your own. But humans were good at balance. They'd been walking that line since they first learned to stand upright, and they'd keep walking it until the day they could finally stand alone, without guardians, without protection, without the shadow of the precursors looming over them. That day would come. Until then, humanity would keep growing, keep learning, keep reaching for the stars, and the council would watch. Silent and eternal, waiting for the moment when their protection was no longer needed, when the children finally became adults, when the guarded became the guardians. That would be the day the precursor's greatest experiment succeeded. That would be the day Earth truly joined the galaxy as an equal, and the council would finally rest.